Got it. All right. Who's there? I'm waiting. No, really, I just realized that, there's someone, one person. I love it. No, I just realized that it's the Weasel Tales anniversary, and my computer went goofy and fixable, but I don't want to rush. I don't like rushing the creation of the podcast. And so I should have shaved for this. But again, I went on my page, and it was, kind of commemorating 1 year. 1 year when I started this quest to honor the late great Bobby Heenan, my dear friend, my writing partner, somebody who has put me over more than, now I got 3, and I got a thumbs up. I think I tried this 6 months ago. I'm not sure, but feel free to let me know who you are. I don't know if super chats are working. I'm new to it. David, oh, this is my number one fan here, man. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. When I first started this, I should show you so these are the tapes I used, and this is 2001 and 2004, and these are the little tapes I used, and this is the actual tape recorder. And nowadays you can get this on YouTube, eBay, and it costs like $300 because I didn't have the cord for it. So I went on eBay and I realized how much, these cost, but, I needed this obviously for the podcast. So, who's that? Muswild Full. Just found your channel. Big fan. Yes, the brain is funny. We laughed and we laughed and we laughed. And that, that first day, actually, in a hotel room in Bloomington, Minnesota, was it was an out of body experience. I don't even think that I just couldn't believe that I'm sitting across from Bobby Heenan, and we had talked several times on the phone. We had to work out a sample chapter, and so we did that. Sent it to the publisher. And the publisher actually initially turned it down. And hello, Devin. Oh, Uncle Rico. Well, you are more than welcome there, Devin. Uncle Rico and the Shuli Network has done a lot. And the reason I got monetized, I think, has a lot to do with them, and also a lot to do with all of you. Where was I? So I'm sitting in a hotel with the greatest wrestling manager of all time. Okay, now I know where I was. So they turned us down, and then the publisher said, or the publisher had lunch with a prominent sports guy and told him about the proposal and how they turned it down. And he said, "Are you insane?" And they came back and said, we'll do the book. We certainly had our ups and downs, as any authors would have with publishing companies. But, we were a team, Bobby and I, and we kind of propped each other up when things got a little challenging. Bobby was not used to the publishing industry. I was, from writing for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, doing cartoons for The Wrestler and the year-end issues. Eventually earned my stripes and started writing. And but if you're gonna tell me what's the highlight, it's obviously working with Bobby Heenan on not just one but two. And the second book is not as well known because of a lack of publicity. But what was great about that project was Bobby inviting me to Hall of Fame, WrestleMania in 2004. And I encourage all of you, all two, that's fine. That's good with me, to find that, because as his wife said, as his late wife said, Cindy passed away more than a year ago now. She said that was when Bobby became Bobby again, because what he was going through with cancer. And in fact, I found out, he called me right after we submitted the manuscript, and he called me, and I got the impression that he was more concerned about me than him. He said, I'm worried about you. I'm worried about how this is going to affect the book. And I told him, I said, hey, I'll take care of the book. You take care of getting better. And he did. And at WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame, he became Bobby Heenan again. Funny, it's been said before, and a lot of people kind of, shrug. Yes, David, it was a tremendous, tremendous speech, and it was all off the top of his head. And actually, after we landed and got in our hotel, Bobby asked me if I would do the induction speech, and I I said, there's got to be someone else. There's got to be someone more appropriate, and that kind of thing. And he said, well, I'm going to go ask and stuff. And it turned out that they wanted a WWE employee, and that was Blackjack Lanza, who obviously was more fitting for it. But at one point, he even said, would you mind if my daughter inducted me? And I said, well, of course. So, but if you guys have any questions, again, the reason I'm live tonight is it is the 1 year birthday anniversary of Weasel Tales. Started off with just me yammering on with pictures that you could look at and trying to figure out basically how I could transfer mini tapes into a full-on podcast. And so I did a few with just me talking about my experience with Bobby, but then started just kind of sprinkling in very, very short. Devin, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you found it too. The more the merrier, as I've always said. It's like I said, it's been a tremendous experience. Initially, kind of an emotional experience too, kind of because I hadn't listened to the tapes in a very, very long time, and to hear Bobby. But again, supreme timing. Again, could have been a stand-up comedian, could have been a talk show host. There's just so much potential there. And so yeah, but my experience with him was just incredible. Our families got very close. he became very fond of my kids, especially my daughter. I have an autographed Bobby, or it's actually hers, but it's in my house, an autographed Bobby Heenan baseball cap, and it's signed, or it's to my daughter, and he always referred to her as my Maddie, and insisted that she call him Grandpa Bobby, and that was him. He could be, you know, a bit of a curmudgeon from time to time, and I think that was a lot of frustration with the book. But again, I think recovering from cancer, being cancer free, really gave him a perspective and a new life. So, yeah. So, again, if anyone has any questions, I don't know if super chats are working. If you want to, feel free. Not my purpose here tonight, really, because I just wanted to do something a little different and let you guys know how much I appreciate it, too. Oh, Maz, yes, Bobby and Gorilla. In fact, Bobby gave him a shout out at the end of his Hall of Fame speech, and he said, "I wish Monsoon was here," and choked up. And as much laughter and as much as he just absolutely stole the show, which really put off one particular Hall of Famer in the same class, you can go back and look at the list, and you tell me who would be most put off by that. And yeah, that was just, he and Gorilla were just so close, and his death was absolutely devastating. And I remember seeing him on Monday Nitro, I think it was, and you could just see the emotion that he was having and dealing with, losing Gorilla like that. And so but yeah, he always spoke fondly of him. And that out of all the old time wrestlers I'd want to meet, I wish I had met Gorilla Monsoon and hung out with him and stuff, because that was the best pairing. Primetime Wrestling was a favorite show of mine, and yeah, so yeah, good comedy team, rivaling Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, you name it. They were quite the pair, and played off each other just perfectly. And it would have been nice to see Gorilla Monsoon induct Bobby Heenan, but that wasn't meant to be. Wow, we're up to 13 minutes here. Again, we got 6 of you. I appreciate you all. I'm not doing this for the count or for the odd number of people in the audience. I just appreciate you people coming on here. Okay, Maz. Who else in the wrestling business was Bobby good friends with outside the ring? Well, if you think about the AWA, you have to start with Nick Bockwinkel, and Ray Stevens was a friend. Pat Patterson. He's one of those guys who was just universally loved and respected at the same time. So, wow, you're really, business is picking up, as JR would say. Devin, you were at a TV taping in the early 90s in Ottawa. My friend saw me when it aired. Bobby Heenan said, "Look at that kid." Well, there you go, your little 60 minutes of fame there. David, spent the entirety of my youth despising Bobby Heenan. Yeah, exactly. And it's been great to learn so much about him. Well, it's been great just sharing those experiences that he had in his voice. I mean, inevitably, that's what I wanted the podcast to be. I wanted it to be in his voice. Now, admittedly, I'm going to start, and I think I am running short on material, but that's not going to end the podcast. We'll just do it maybe in a different format or whatever. I mean, this has been a great year. All of you helped me get to monetization with super chats, and can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It was up against you're up against it. I was up against it. It YouTube gives you a year to reach a certain metric, and if you reach that, there's actually two metrics. There was one higher. I'm fine with this. It's just a tremendous opportunity. And now there's 7 of you, and then there's 4 thumbs up. So we gotta like that. The more thumbs up you get, the more people will see it. Yeah. So I really don't know what else you want to hear about Bobby. I mean, I could go on and on about him. It was this, again, tremendous experience. And it was really at a time when kind of wrestling and especially wrestling magazines were kind of falling out of favor, especially in 2001 when Vince McMahon bought WCW. I knew at that point that, okay, things are going to be a little different. Is someone else going to step up? Thankfully now we have other promotions out there, TNA Wrestling, AEW, and I know AEW gets a lot of flack and a lot of heat for certain decisions and what happened to CM Punk, who I've known since the late 90s when he wrestled up here in Minnesota. Did he have any regrets in the business? I think if I could think of a regret, it might be he wasn't very happy in WCW. He went there, obviously, for a paycheck. Bobby believed that if you're in the business for anything else other than money, you're a fool, and that's a common thread with the old timers. I don't think he really believes that. I think he understands that he too had a passion to do it. But I would say, yeah, I would say it's WCW. He just felt that he wasn't. He was too used to how the WWF worked because he'd been there for so long. He started in 83 or 84, and went to WCW in what was it? Someone help me out. Someone look that up. But yeah, he just, there was just a lot of issues he had with WCW. And what's my relation? Hot Billy. Hello, Hot Billy. My relation to Bobby is a book partnership. We're not related in any way, but I did consider him family, and he considered me his family. Very fond of my kids. At the time, he didn't have grandkids, so he was very fond of mine, always asked about them when we were talking. He was especially fond of my daughter, and again, gave her an autographed Bobby Heenan cap. I don't know what that goes for on eBay, but and I'm not going to sell it because it's a very special keepsake. Devin, enjoy Bobby Heenan's shooting interviews. Yes, he is quick-witted. His timing, and I really noticed it more while I was going through the tapes and, converting them and everything, and putting them on for you guys. Um, wasn't Bobby a big stock market guy? I think he was. I think he was, if I remember right. Yes. Oh, Maz. Oh, what are you doing to me? Yes. Bobby was not a fan of Tony. I have no issues with Tony Schiavone in the interactions I've had online and otherwise. But Bobby just, yeah. In fact, I was doing I don't know if it was the last podcast, I think it was. Um, and part of it was kind of a diatribe against Tony Schiavone. And I just felt that I think you want to hear Bobby being funny, not Bobby really going really going after somebody. So I did take that clip out, not to say I can't, eventually revisit it. Hot Billy, yes, we were talking about that when Gorilla Monsoon had passed away, and yeah, that was the way that was handled was not good. Um, Sorry, I'm looking at the number 5. We got 5. That's good. And hey, if super chats are open, hey, feel free. But again, that's not why I'm here. I'm just talking to you guys. But that's what you're supposed to say when you're doing live YouTube, right? Yeah, it was a very rushed thing. It wasn't. They didn't put a lot of time into it, and I don't know if it was because of if it happened that day. I honestly don't remember, but it could have been handled better. And but again, Gorilla Monsoon wasn't part of WCW, and unfortunately, in this industry, that's just kind of how it goes. Yes, Devin, they were the greatest team. Um, you can just watch hours and hours. If you have Peacock, just watch, just binge primetime wrestling. And if you want to skip the matches and everything, yeah, that. So, but what I think I remember most about Bobby as a fan before I got to know him. Well, first of all, I'm in Minnesota, so the AWA, Bobby Heenan was very prominent. I remember when he came back to manage the Super Destroyer, who was Sergeant Slaughter. I remember that very vividly. In fact, my interest in wrestling, now I'm going to talk about me for just a second, don't worry. My interest in professional wrestling started in 1972. I was 7 years old, and my grandmother, Doris, she believed watching TV was not something to do by yourself. So she plopped me down in front of the TV and turned it on, and it was the AWA All-Star Wrestling. And the first actual wrestling match I saw was Ray Stevens and Dr. X. And Ray Stevens jumped off the top rope and broke, air quotes, broke the leg of Dr. X. And that was my first memory, and I was pretty much hooked ever since then. And what was interesting about that angle was that started the AWA forbidding off the top rope moves and throwing someone over the top rope. That would be a disqualification as well, which was, well, lame. that's the only way I could put it, because I think that's what when Hulk Hogan was here for a couple of years, they just wouldn't put the belt on him, and they would leave. What was worse about it to me, and promoters are going to do what promoters are going to do, but what really stuck with me is the fact that people went home thinking Hulk Hogan was the AWA champion. In fact, I did something on that, kind of a tongue-in-cheek approach, kind of not the typical Weasel Tales episode, but I just felt like doing it because it was so outrageous that they sent people home thinking Hulk Hogan was the new champion, and he should have been. And then it wasn't long after that he left. And would he have stayed in the AWA even with WWF kind of going national? Nah, I don't know. Maybe, you know. But I've had some interactions with the Hulkster, and it's always been nice to me. I know, you know, he's done some things that he probably regrets, but it's not for me to say, wow, we're up to 9. We are at 9. Can we get to 10? Oh, now we're at 7. Oh, well, that's all right. And we're a half hour into this. Again, the Weasel Tales episode will air tomorrow because of some technical issues, and I had some things come up and needed to run out for a bit, and was out longer than I wanted to be, and then came back to a computer that just didn't want to cooperate. David, is it Zelinsky? I hope it is. Were there any Bobby stories that you witnessed firsthand? Oh, well, I don't know if you'd call it a story, but when Bobby was out in the public, he was mischievous, to say the least. He'd mess with people, not in a mean or nefarious way. I remember him. This woman had we were actually driving in the back of a town car, and he rolled down the window, and he always had. What he would do is he would look at me before he would do anything. He would look at me or whoever the person was with him, and you could see that glint in his eye, and you're like, oh God, no. And hey, we hit 10. Thanks, guys. And this woman was wearing this ornate hat, and Bobby felt the need to roll down the window, get the woman to roll down her window, and he said, that's a very nice hat, ma'am. Devin, don't worry about it. Again, it's not, hey, do it when you can if you want. We're here tonight to honor 1 year Weasel Tales and celebrate the late, oh so great Bobby Heenan. So back to David. Yeah, there were other, God, he would just, and it wasn't mean, he would just mess with people. Thank you, Devin. Yes, long live Bobby Heenan. Yeah, he just teased them, and yeah, you had to stay with him. It was like, watching my kids when they were younger. It's like, oh God, and you just knew he was up to something because he'd get this look in his eye, little glint, and his little crooked smile, and he just. He'd just play, and that's what he was. He was just truly young at heart, and it's funny because, I am right now as old as, or maybe a little older than Bobby was when we did the book, and I think I was maybe a little bit inspired to kind of act the same way and everything. And this is my Walk MS hat in honor of my late younger brother who passed away. He had MS, did quite well for himself in that. So yeah, so you want to give some money to the MS Society and not me, that would be cool as well. So, does anyone else have anything they want to say? Because we're coming up to a half hour now. Again, Weasel Tales is 1. And it's been great. It's been an incredible experience for someone who's has been fortunate to have a lot of experiences in this business. You know, interviewing wrestlers, getting. I'll tell you, I real early on I got involved in the local independent scene, and I wasn't wrestling, even though I'm taller. I'm over 6 foot, and that, and people think you're a wrestler, and every once in a while I would be talking to someone and a kid would come up, "You signing?" And it's like, I'm not a wrestler guy. I'm sorry. But I got involved in the independent scene, and Sean Waltman, 123 Kid. I've known him since he was 16 or 17 years old, and he came up to Minnesota from Malenko's camp, and but yeah, he chopped me once, and uh, you want to cry, but you don't cry. You don't sell it. Well, you sell a little bit, but you don't sell it that way. Yeah, thanks. Just threw this on today. I'm a big Christmas guy, so I have problems letting go of Christmas. Rude Boy Kyle, that's your name. Okay, yes, thank you. And yeah, this is me. This is me. Unshaven tonight, but again, this is very last minute, and I wanted to, you know, just let you guys know how much I appreciate the support to the channel, and getting to monetization, which is tremendous, and apparently not that easy to do. I read somewhere that like 8% of YouTube channels are monetized. I don't know if that's an old statistic or whatever, but whatever, it's good company to be in, because there's a lot of good podcasters out there. Yeah. When do I usually go live? Maz, this is the first time. This was a last minute thing, but if you guys want me to, I was thinking, because usually I like to do the Tuesday, Thursday with the Weasel Tales, Bobby Heenan Archives. So we could do something on a Wednesday, call it Weasel Wednesday, and see how that goes. I do, but what I was saying before is that the tapes I have right now, and for those of you who weren't here, I mean, we're talking about this, which is just antiquated stuff. But, if you're all into it, we can do it. We can talk about Bobby Heenan. We can talk about professional wrestling, that kind of thing. I want to set it up eventually, so maybe we can do some clips or kind of, what's the word I'm looking for with that? The guy from the Shuli Network, who found me at the Shuli Network, which I encourage a lot of you, all of you, to go visit. But let's see. It's someplace I think it's something I want to do, and something I'll probably have to do, because again, the tapes or the number of stories left is probably maybe, hopefully 6 months, but I just haven't checked yet. David Zlinski, hopefully I'm doing that. Bankstown 110 Police, hey buddy, back to you. You have a favorite promotion? Buddy, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Do you have a favorite promotion to follow, watch, old and new? Well, ECW. In fact, I wrote for ECW magazine, and got to go to some shows, and that was just a tremendous experience. I've known Paul Heyman for a long time. In fact, in the midst of you look like Santa. Why, thank you. I take that as a compliment. Mickey Mouse fan, favorite animal. All right, now we break, we get up to 12 and we get the real interesting questions. Thank you, Bankstown. I appreciate that. Favorite animal? I like dogs. Yeah, I like dogs. Back to David for a second. Uh, I like AEW. I like the fact, and yes, they've had their ups and downs and stuff, and hold on there, Bankstown. Maria. Well, nice to meet you too. Um, okay, now where was I now? You're making me multitask here. Australia. I had a couple exchange student from Australia. Someone's holding their message for review. Not the Weasel. No, sorry. You'll have to settle for me. But getting back to David's question, boy, is this what it's like when you get up to 14 people? Wow, it's crazy. Um, so yeah, I like AEW. I like the fact that there's there's options and everything, and starting to watch more TNA because I have friends who are in the company and everything. Uh, Family's great. Can't complain at all. Who was Bobby's favorite most recent wrestler? Well, um, that's a tough one. Uh, we start tennis. I'm from U.S. Hello. Uh, oh, new subscriber. Thank you, Mickey Mouse fan. I share your fandom. Bankstown, Merry Christmas. Yes. Um, tell by the shirt. Favorite animal, not the weasel. No, sorry. Uh, I said dog, but yeah, weasel's a close second. Um, anyway, anyway. So yeah, like I said, I like the fact that we have several promotions, especially after 2001. And I think people who didn't experience, when WWF basically took over everything, what it did to the industry was bad, and it affected my job as a writer and cartoonist for the magazine. So yeah, like your top. Thank you. Most prized piece of wrestling memorabilia. Um, well, boy, that's a good question. Um, well, a while back, I got a bunch of. Do I like motorcycles? I like them. I'm not licensed to ride one, and I'm not opposed to them. And I know my younger brother was very much into that. Um, but wrestling. But anyway, wow, this is really coming in fast. Look at that. Okay. Scrolling through live streams and saw you. Well, here I am. Wasn't Bobby Heenan supposed to manage CM Punk for one match in Ring of Honor? Yes, I believe so. I know there's a picture of him with Punk, but yeah. So anyway, real quick, prize possession was this grouping of wrestling title belts. They were replica belts, but one it was a WWF Winged Eagle, and it looks too much. It's too close, and I still think it's it was probably ring worn, but I don't know that for sure. But I would say that right now, and of course anything that related to Bobby Heenan. Um, yeah, so thank you, Bankstown. I'd like to think that too. Um, I mean, CM Punk. I'll tell you, if you guys could have seen, speaking of CM Punk, I'll just talk about him for a minute. He came up here in '98 and he had uh, bleach blonde hair. But he had these big basketball shorts, and he wasn't at that time, the stereotypical wrestler. He really went against the grain, but there was something special even back then. The fans just took to him. Hope on Fortnite. I've been waiting in the lobby for an hour now. Peter Griffin. I think you might be in the wrong place. If I had a message to the world, what will you say? Be nice to each other. I think that's something that is. I look like Matthew Lillard. He was Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movies, I think so. Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that. Toaster Pluto. The names just, I just love that. I love that. So, yeah, Sam Ace, I can't help you with the Peter Griffin skin. I know you've been waiting. You guys can see these, right? It's not just me, right? Okay. So, again, we are live tonight only because this is the 1 year anniversary of the first episode of Weasel Tales, which was, again, me just yapping, and then eventually incorporated the numerous tapes that I have, and and again, eventually, like I said, we're gonna run out, but we'll do something else with them. And run. I saw Bobby Heenan. Saw Bobby take a beating from Greg Gagne in the Hammond Civic Center. His face was a bloody mess at the end. I may have seen him a time or two live, but don't recall. Yeah, Bobby was a bleeder, certainly. Yeah, those matches with Greg Gagne, especially the Weasel suit matches, were tremendous. Bankstown, tell me whatever you want. Yeah, those matches were really, really something. I'm not gonna cry, don't worry. But yeah, those matches with Greg Gagne were really something. And you know, Greg got a lot of flack for being skinny and everything, but he was still top-notch worker. Devin, love watching AWA Bobby. Yes, me too. I grew up on a steady diet of it as a kid. And when he left, I think if there was one defection that really hurt it, I mean, it was obviously Hogan, but they just, again, they wouldn't give him the belt. And then losing Bobby was, you know, that was kind of the heart and soul. Yes, he did. He could take bumps. And he really wasn't trained. He just could do it. He could be a manager, and he could just naturally do those things, which was that's how he got started. So I don't know how many people, you know, have one or both of the books, but they're kind of expensive now on eBay and other sites. Hot Billy, I can't believe how smart the guy was for only going to school through 6th grade. Yeah. He wasn't, book smart, but he was streetwise, and he was very, very intelligent, definitely. Can you say happy birthday to Marley for my birthday? Happy birthday to Marley. That's the first birthday wish I ever got. And another, well, I'll say happy birthday to you again, Marley. Hope it's a great one. Okay, wow, we are 44 minutes. Super chats, I think, are still available if you want to do it, if you want to help the channel. Welcome, Murph Smurf. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And if you're a Bobby Heenan fan, which I would hope you would be, but yeah, I think we peaked at about 14 or 15, and again, that's okay with me. And seeing a lot of hearts. I don't know what that quite means. There's a good shoot interview with Bobby and Jim. Oh, Bobby and Jim. Yeah, that was another experience I got to live, being around Bobby Heenan and Jim Cornette. Driving in a car. I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I did, or as much as I ever did with those two. Almost on par with Gorilla and Bobby was Jim Cornette and Bobby. Thank you, Murph Smurf. Please do subscribe. I am on Twitter, Authentic Steve A. Bankstown's telling me a story here. Thank you, Devin. Yes, it's been an amazing experience. This is wild. Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading something here. Not quite sure what I'm reading, but yeah. All right. We are at 46 minutes, and I think I'm going to... Oh, thank you, Mercer. I like it myself. Good movie. Okay, so we're at 46 minutes. So I'm going to give us, we're going to go up to 50 minutes, and then I'm going to say goodnight or good morning, depending on where you are. Hola. I'm going to completely mispronounce your name. Annie Ula. Yeah, look out for the books, Devin. It's hard to find. I don't know if you know about half price books, but I've seen them in there, and the price is better. And yeah, check it out. And I may be talking to Bobby's, family members of Bobby to see if we can try to maybe get some reprints going, but that may be a little difficult considering publishers and our not so great experience with them. But hey, it's part of the thing. At the GG match, a bunch of kids followed him back to the door to his dressing room. He stopped to use a water fountain and fake lunged at us. Watching him scared the hell out of us. Yeah, that's Bobby. Name a color for an edit. Periwinkle, from the Crayola. Okay. Well, we may be a small group in here, folks, but we are Legion, and again, I very much appreciate it. This is more than I expected. So we might have to do this every Weasel Wednesday. And again, if you want to help support the channel, I do have super chats and have buy me a coffee, but I think I might do away with that. That really hasn't. It was just a trial balloon, and that's fine. But yeah. Let's see. We're at 48.50. I do love that story, Enron, about Bobby. Yeah, he could, but I guarantee you he was probably laughing mightily after that. He loved a good prank, and he loved fan interaction. He really did. But unfortunately, the way his character was portrayed, he had to be a little bit careful and all that. So, all right. Well, okay, so we're coming up on 50 minutes, and I am going to sign off and continue the celebration here. I cannot thank you guys enough for just being a part of this. And I knew it would get some interest, but the dedication and the interest and everything, Yes, I will come back. And now you're all talking. So Moz, yes, I will. Let's try to plan this for Wednesdays. I will keep you up to date on X or on YouTube in the community section, um, and I will keep up the good work. And you're very welcome. And I thank you all for doing this. And now, for now, this is Steve Anderson, um, and I will see you all very, very soon. Again, it's probably a Weasel Wednesday thing if you're up for it. We can kind of build on the what we had up to 14 people. That's pretty good, I think, for the first chat. So, all right, you guys take care. And again, I appreciate it. Happy birthday to Weasel Tales, and here's to many, many more.